The air in the small frontier town was thick with dust and the sour smell of greed. The sheriff pretended not to notice the gathering behind the saloon, where desperate men with broken boots and hungrier eyes huddled like vultures. It wasn't cattle they had come to see. No, tonight something far crueler was being traded. A girl stood under the flickering lantern, wrists bound, hair tangled, her pale face marked by tears and defiance. Her name was Clara. She was just 19. Her spirit unbroken, even though her own brother, Jed, had dragged her here to be sold off like a piece of land he no longer needed. Jed's voice rang out over the crowd, deep and slurred with whiskey. "Strong girl. Good for work, good for more. Who'll start the bidding?" Coins clinked, laughter cracked, and Clara shut her eyes, wishing the earth would open up beneath her boots. From the shadowed edge of the crowd, a man leaned against the hitching post, hat pulled low, jaw set like iron. His name was Colt McGraw, a cowboy with a reputation as fierce as the wild mustangs he tamed. His hands were rough from rope and reins, but his heart was tender enough to see injustice burning clear as daylight. He hadn't come to town for this. He'd come to trade cattle, but when his gaze fell on Clara, trembling under the greedy stares, something in him shifted, something he couldn't walk away from. He pushed off the post, his boots thudding steady against the boards as he cut through the crowd. "I'll take her," Colt said, his voice quiet but carrying like thunder. The men laughed at first, until Colt dropped a leather pouch heavy with silver coins at Jed's feet. More than any other man could match. Jed grinned, pocketing the silver with no hesitation, and spat in the dirt. "She's yours, cowboy." Clara's heart sank. She thought she was leaving one monster for another, but when Colt untied her wrists, his touch was careful, respectful, his eyes not devouring but steady, calm. "You're free now," he murmured. And for the first time in weeks, Clara felt the faintest spark of hope. Colt led her out of the crowd, ignoring the sneers, the mutters, the lingering stares. Under the wide night sky, he saddled his horse and offered his hand. "Come on," he said. "Let's get you away from here." She hesitated, her lips parting, but then climbed into the saddle behind him. As they rode out of town, Clara looked back once, seeing Jed counting his silver by the firelight, his betrayal cutting deeper than the ropes ever had. She wanted to tell Colt to stop, to leave her, to not waste his kindness. But words stuck in her throat, because Clara carried a secret far heavier than the chains her brother had bound her with. A secret that, if Colt knew, might turn his compassion to fury. She wrapped her arms around him tighter, the steady rhythm of his horse beneath her, and prayed he would never discover what she was hiding. Dawn spilled across the prairie as Colt guided his horse toward his ranch. The horizon painted gold and blood red. Clara hadn't spoken much since the rescue, her silence thick as smoke. But Colt didn't press her. He'd learned long ago that some wounds bled invisible. Instead, he offered her food, water, and the quiet dignity of space. By the fire that night, she finally found her voice. "Why'd you do it?" she asked, staring at the flames. Colt shrugged, chewing on a piece of jerky. "Because no one else would, and because no woman deserves to be treated like property." His words struck her, harder than a slap, because they reminded her of the one truth she'd buried deep. She wasn't innocent. Not the way he thought. Clara's hands trembled as she held the tin cup. "Colt," she whispered, "there's something you don't know about me." He looked at her, brows furrowed, waiting. "Jed didn't just sell me because he's cruel," she confessed, tears spilling despite her fight to hold them back. "He sold me because of what I did. Months ago, a man came to our farm. He was violent, mean. He tried to—" Her voice broke, and I fought back. "I killed him, Colt, with my own hands. Jed said no one would ever forgive me, that I was ruined, cursed. So he traded me for silver, to wash me out of his life." Her sobs cracked the night, heavy and raw. For a long moment, Colt said nothing. His jaw tightened, his eyes shadowed. Clara braced herself for disgust, for anger, for the boot that would send her away. But instead, Colt reached across the fire and took her shaking hands in his. "You did what you had to do," he said firmly. "That ain't murder. That's survival, and I'll stand by you for it." His voice carried the weight of steel, yet the warmth of a promise she had never known. Clara stared at him, unable to believe. The secret she thought would damn her instead becoming the bond that tied them closer. But the night wasn't finished. In the distance, a howl of riders echoed across the plain. Men loyal to the one she had killed. Men who wanted blood. Clara's secret hadn't just changed her, it had marked her. And now Colt's choice to save her meant both their lives were in danger. He rose, revolver glinting in the firelight, and offered her a hand up. "You're with me now," he said. "And together, we'll face whatever comes." Clara took his hand, heart pounding. Realizing the cowboy hadn't just rescued her body, he had rescued her soul. Yet the danger ahead would test whether their fragile bond could withstand the storm, barreling toward them.